Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the screaming to not be superhero hour. My name is Ryan, and tonight we are looking at the franchises of 97, and we are talking about what went right, what went wrong, and how we would change them today. The problem is that intro, which was, I would say, decently done, was much betterly done earlier and then lost. So we are going to drop you into the action when we were already talking about Men in Black. We're not going to announce that, but you're going to hear because we're talking about a pug. And what else is there to talk about when we're talking about Men in Black? Have a good time.
Can I tell you guys why I think this franchise didn't hit off as much as that first one? It didn't focus on that pug as much. There was no pug action. The pug was there for 10 seconds. What are we supposed to do with that?
We need that goddamn pug!
The pug was what sold it, and that's why I was a fan of the original.
Is this Kumail Nanjiani?
I couldn't tell you. Just a very good pug.
No.
He was the little acorn-looking dude.
So there was no pug in this new MIB.
He's
and that was the problem?
there.
Yeah.
He's the security guard, and he was just amateur hour.
See, that's stupid, because in 97, we didn't know yet how much people love dogs.
Yeah.
Now we know, so get them in the fucking movie.
Yeah, he should have been the whole center of the movie.
Yeah, they should have made him Agent P.
But yeah, I think this
So into
franchise just needs to be put to bed. I mean, the first one was good, and then all of them have been awful since then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe it's done.
But do you guys expect a 5?
No, not after this.
You think they're just going to...
No.
I feel like they might have been planning on it, but after this one, I don't think they'll go for it.
I think if this one, I don't know what the box office for this one was, but I think if the
Not
box office...
Boffo.
Yeah, I think if it makes its money back with a little to spare, they might think about it.
But just with the money that was to spare. That's what they have to make the movie on.
That will be the budget.
$12,000. Your next franchise, and this is a precarious one, that is, had some ups and downs. 97 gave us Batman and Robin.
Oof.
That was the end of Joel Schumacher. Then we had 3 Christopher Nolan movies. And then Zack Snyder came in.
Yeah.
How big of a deal was that initial quadrilogy to you guys back then? Burton, Schumacher.
The Burton one's very important.
Yeah, super duper important.
And because Burton did the Jack Nicholson and the
Danny DeVito.
And then I'd say the first of the Schumachers with Tommy Lee Jones and
James Carrey.
Yes, with James Carrey. Because of who I was at the time when that movie came out, enjoyed a lot. But
I
in
defend
retrospect,
Batman Forever.
Yeah, in retrospect, it doesn't hold up to the first two.
And I think you have to want to like it.
Yes, and you have
Right.
to believe that Jim Carrey walks on water
Yeah.
when you see it.
Yeah, and I did at that time, so I was like, yeah, this is great. But in retrospect, it's not great. I do think that the Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze, Batman and Robin, that came out in 1997, is the worst Batman movie that has ever come out. And I am including...
66?
Well, yeah, I'm including that, and I'm including the... you're hurting Martha! From Batman v
come
Superman.
on now.
No,
you're being ridiculous.
No, I honestly think that Batman v Superman was a bad movie, but I do not think it was as bad as fucking Batman and Robin.
I don't know. That's a bold statement.
It's a bold
I don't know
statement.
if I can support that. But
I stand by it.
this was the third one. Obviously, everything was teetering. But when the fourth one came out, the Batman and Robin, it was it felt like, okay, it's fine to say this is a bad movie. Obviously, this is bad.
Yeah.
You named the villains that are in it. They also put Bane in it for just 5 minutes.
Yep.
He's like, I'm here too.
But then BVS did the same thing with Doomsday.
Yeah,
Threw him
that's
right
true.
in the end.
Yeah. But I will say nothing in Batman vs. Superman involves, laundry fighting. That doesn't happen. That's a thing that happens in Batman and Robin that I cannot get past. That was stuff that spent, an entire scene on for no reason. So, yeah, I think that this has only gone up from where it was in 1997. I think 1997 was the low point of the entire Batman universe.
I do think they need to maybe take a break making Batman movies for a while.
Yeah, I'm okay without it.
I don't know what the
Yeah.
fresh take is. The only thing I can think of is because we have gone so hyper grimdark. The only thing I can think of is trying to reprise the camp Batman.
The thing that we
Yeah.
tried so hard to get away from
Yeah.
is now what we need.
And so but I think we need way more time before we can embrace that or
Yeah.
whatever. I just don't think that there's any story to tell about Batman right now that's interesting, because movies and also the TV shows have just that Earth is just plowed under, you know?
Yeah. And especially in the wake of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, which were like, people were like, oh, maybe we'll nominate superhero movies for Oscars.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't happen a whole lot, and I don't know why you would follow that up with things that are just gonna be worse.
And
like, you know they're not gonna be good.
I don't love Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, but I will admit that like he felt the reverberations of that Nolan trilogy throughout his entire tenure over there. Like he just never got a way to like do his own thing. And I don't know what that like. I don't know who my dream Batman director would be. You know, like who can you see making a great new fresh movie?
Yeah, I just
Joel Schumacher.
Alfonso Cuarón.
That's why I say it needs to just rest for a little bit
Yeah.
until somebody like organically comes up with a fresh take, rather than we should have another Batman movie. How do we do that?
All right, our other major franchise, which it's 97, so you think this would not come up, but the number 8 movie of the year, the number 21st movie of the year, and the 46th movie of the year as far as box office goes, guys, was Star Wars. This was before Phantom Menace. They released all 3 of the original trilogy in theaters, remastered, and they looked better, but then they also had
new stuff.
Terrible
New stuff.
nonsense.
Yes. This is... This was not quite a low point. Like, people were not happy with...
No, but we didn't realize how I don't think at the time we
Right.
realized exactly how troubling this was. Like, okay, I guess the Han shooting first thing like made a big splash.
Yeah.
But there should have not been any excitement about episode 1 based on these recuts of these movies. They are definitively worse in every way. For every like dinosaur that's added through CGI, there is some implausibly awful decision. Like I just watched the other thing is when George Lucas made these, he's like, these are definitive, destroy every other version of these movies ever made.
Yeah.
And these are the only ones that exist.
And it's
I just
so
watched
hard.
with my family A New Hope, but his like recut of it, which includes that scene with Jabba the Hutt in it, where he just steps on Jabba's
Steps on top
back,
of him, yeah.
because they didn't know they couldn't think of what else to do.
And Jabba, like when you squeeze a stress doll, like his eyes come out of it.
He's like, oh man,
why would you step on me? A mob boss that you're scared of.
that you're scared? Yeah, a big giant slug, and then this guy who's supposed to be so powerful. He's just like, well, that's what happens. Sometimes my teammates just step on my back.
And then for
why?
Cassie, is this just your Star Wars? Like,
Yeah, this is all that I got into Star Wars super late, so this is all I know, honestly.
no.
So, like,
you've
everybody
never seen
always
Han Solo not walk on Jabba before.
never. That's all I've known.
And the fucking like the like harem scene with Jabba the Hutt was already like bad, but it's like 12 layers
Because now
worse.
there's a music number.
There's
now.
a whole music number.
Yeah, baby, baby, baby,
Jesus Christ!
That wasn't in before?
No.
Post decision?
It keeps.
They were
me
a bunch
up
of
at night.
puppets just in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But George Lucas was like, no,
My
this needs to be way worse.
My definitive vision for these movies.
But yeah, Greg, you were right in like that. We weren't mad yet, but if we look back, we could see like, oh, he's a tinkering. Oh,
Yeah.
like he's got some stuff on his mind, and this is just like this is the appetizer for what we're in for.
you really, if you are an artist, if you want to keep fucking with your stuff, that's one thing. I'm not one of these people that's like, you shouldn't be able to do that. But you really shouldn't go back and destroy the original work that you made. Like, if you want to have a new version of your movie, allow the old prints to exist. Those old, like, theatrical release prints now they're not anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get those anymore. They've been destroyed.
I have a collection of the VHS tapes from before like the remakes came out, and I'm like, I can't get rid of these because there's no other way to watch those other versions.
There's
now.
like laser discs of the original cuts of the movie, and those are like the best quality that will ever exist for those films.
Ugh.
I will say though, it was my 3 favorite times at the movies through '97. Like this was such a big deal to me. I was in line for hours and hours before each one. Seeing them in the theater was fucking awesome, even though we had to deal with all this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's still epic. It still deserves to be like seen in that way. And honestly, I think his big fear was, I'm not going to add enough stuff to these movies to make it worth it.
Right.
And that's what's unfortunate, because the less, like, it's the parts that he didn't add that were like good and worth seeing. It was cleaning up the film stock that was worth it, but nothing that they computered in.
Let's do one more before we go to break. There was a big number 2 that came out in '97.
Did it stink?
It did stink. Actually, I don't know. Taylor,
What?
Scream 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we're very divided on this.
Yeah.
Scream basically rebooted a genre. Like,
yes.
Before Scream came out, horror movies for like the 5 to 10 years before that would make $1 million in theater, or probably just go straight to video.
Yeah, like it really is. The 80s were all about like the slashers with like the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and then like it almost is like a clean cut at like 1990. All of the movies were just garbage from then on. Like everyone was tired and we're like, who gives a shit?
Bunch of chopping malls.
Yeah, and not even chopping mall levels. Like, but it was garbage. And then 1996, Scream came along and was like, hey, what if we made fun of all of those movies that you hate? And like it was a huge success. And then like it took like another couple of years until like 99 you start getting like, actual good horror movies again.
It was crazy to watch because now horror movies were selling a lot of tickets, and people thought that they could write them. And then also it sort of felt like if you better be meta, otherwise you cannot sell a screenplay. Like if you're just strictly genre, that's not going to work anymore. You have to be have commentary on the genre.
After Scream, every horror movie for like 10 years has to have some moment where like the characters pretty much turn to the camera and wink and are like,
right?
Yeah, like if you're not that movie, you have to be like Blair Witch Project and just like found footage, like weird, like extremely creepy stuff. But Scream 2 was good. It wasn't as good as the first one, I don't think.
Let me figure out how to say this. Was it as good as it could have been, knowing how much worse it was going to be than the first one?
I think so, especially coming out like a year after the first one.
Which that's scary, right? They're clearly throwing it together to capitalize.
It was literally like, oh shit, we got a good thing, let's throw it together. And I think the Scream franchise did fine for itself. Like they were like, I don't know, Sidney Prescott's just going to be in all of these because we love her.
She's the John McClane of the horror scene.
We're just going to keep throwing Courtney Cox in these, even at a point where you think Courtney Cox is too famous to be doing these. She's going to she's going to keep showing up, and they're going to poke fun at it.
Let's talk about 2019. They did 4.
Yes,
and then a TV show.
Yes. The fourth one had what's her face? Fucking Emma Roberts. As the killer and the it girl. And that was a fun twist where they were like, the killer is also trying to be the survivor because everyone loves survivors now because of the original Scream.
And the show Survivor.
So she's the final girl and the bad guy?
Yeah, like her, like she explicitly says her plan was she killed a bunch of her friends so that she could make it look like she was the one under attack and she would be the final girl and be famous.
That's genius. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
And that speech is honestly incredible.
Yeah.
Like, Emma Roberts is great. But yeah, at this point, I feel like Scream is sort of done. I don't know that we're ever going to get another Scream.
And don't want one or need one, right?
No, I think if they did another one, it wouldn't be Scream. It would be what Scream did for the rest of the movies. This movie would do for post-Scream horror movies.
And has there been a single horror reboot that has like hit at all?
No.
How about the most recent Halloween? Was that good?
People liked the most recent Halloween. I don't know how like financially successful
that
was,
one was big. I'm thinking of like there was a ton of pub for very recently Pet Sematary and Child's Play.
Yeah.
And those, it just like it went away immediately.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to do remakes because every other aspect of movies has been able to do reboots very well, and I just don't think that it's working because people didn't watch horror movies a whole lot. So it's already a selective crew, and people don't want to watch things that they've already seen.
But it's weird that most audiences are, when their hits are filled with like teens, like that's the goal, right? And when they're hits, it works. And that happened to like Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
It's almost like these teenagers can smell out like, no, that's my fucking parents' bullshit. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I want new stuff. My parents had Child's Play, so fuck it.
Well, speaking of franchises, that's the thing that happened with Happy Death Day is they did one movie that was very good, and then they did a second one very quickly, but that was like not what the first one was, but was like maybe better. It was like a weird sci-fi like mystery movie, but people were like, no. We have to make it exactly like the first one in all of our promotional materials, otherwise no one will go. And so people fucking hated it because they're like, this is what I signed up for. And I feel like that's what happened with Scream 2.
These things seem like the worst writers' rooms to be in. Just everybody arguing why it should be hack and like underplayed, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so those are the major ones of the year. When we come back, let's get to some minor franchises. Technically, George of the Jungle had a straight-to-video sequel.
What?
So it was 97 created a franchise. Do we need George of the Jungle now? And who
Brendan Fraser now? Yes.
Yeah.
I
Would
don't know
it-
about George of the Jungle.
would you cast Brendan Fraser as George of the Jungle 19?
I would cast him as everything. So yeah.
So the Scream Killer, the Scream Last Girl, everything.
Yeah, everything.
George of the Jungle is weird because it comes from a time where Tarzan was like a hot commodity, and so then something that was a send up of Tarzan like would interest people. I could not imagine now people being like, "Yeah, I want to watch that thing that just totally takes apart Tarzan."
Tarzan
Yeah.
deserves it, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be there for it.
Like, because Tarzan isn't riding high on the cultural consciousness
No,
anymore. Like,
people are never going to do another Tarzan. It's so inherently racist.
Well, yeah, because they recently tried to do Tarzan, and it was like no one saw that movie because it was like, what was it? One of the Skarsgårds.
Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, that
There's so
came
many Skarsgårds these
and
days.
it came out like what 3-4 years ago. And,
oh yeah!
and
oh
I-
my gosh!
Yeah, they did this.
Right, and I don't know anyone who saw that movie. It was just like, I don't know, let's get a hot guy, put him in a loincloth, and put him in a movie, and everyone's like, we don't want this.
The book
Thank
and
you.
the genre are so problematic. There's no
Yeah.
good way to tell the story of white person goes into the jungle and just fucking kills it. It's just so good at it. There's just no way to tell that story that doesn't immediately get just odd. Unless you want to tell it from the perspective of like maybe villagers who naturally live in the jungle, but there's a 99% chance that if you try to do that, you're going to make it way worse than
Yeah.
if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
and I don't know if 99% is worth it. Like
Yeah.
that's odd. to answer.
That is, you're right. The only way that I can see that working is if you start out the movie and it's a Tarzan movie, and then just people who are just like living normal lives, like in that jungle, like come upon him like, what the fuck are you doing?
What is this dude doing? Just like wilding out in the
Yeah.
jungle. Like,
It's like, what
this
the-
isn't a good way to live. Why are you doing this?
You are incredibly unsanitary.
Yeah.
Like, wash yourself. What are you doing?
I guess if it was like a quiet drama about a family, and then every once in a while you would just see somebody fly into a tree, and then you just stamp that George of the Jungle name on it, maybe that would work. Hot on the heels of Scream and coming out at the same time was Scream 2 was I Know What You Did Last Summer. This seemed to lose a lot of the meta, or did it have it?
It had some of the meta, but it was more of a
This is
Back
more-
to basics,
I
right?
Tried to.
yeah.
This is another one where I feel like they tried to like latch on to the Scream thing, but they made more of just a conventional horror.
It was the
movie.
thing that Scream was
Yeah.
making fun of.
Yeah, kind of.
A little bit, but they did do the sort of like we're playing into our strengths, so they made like just a very good like based on like okay, we know the rules now. Let's just make this I Know What You Did Last Summer movie, and then they proceeded to make more, which was a excellent decision for my part.
Is the next
because-
one like I still haven't forgotten what you did 2 summers ago?
It is, the next one is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. It picks up
Don't even
because the first one,
Which that is hilarious.
yeah.
The fact that they put still in the title
Yeah.
of their sequel.
But the first one ends with they were like, we're probably not going to get another one of these. So it ends with like the final girl possibly getting murdered. Like someone jumps out of the showers at her.
And hooks her.
Yeah. The second one begins with, oh, did you have that dream about being in the showers again? And just like addresses that. And then they're like, also Brandy's in this movie. And we're going to a tropical island. And they straight up pull
Bring
up-
in the steel drums.
So it's Brady Bunch.
And they straight up, like, the dude's last name is Billson. And at the end of it, they're like, yeah, I'm that guy that you killed, son. Bill's son.
Wow.
And it is the best moment in cinema history.
I do love the sequel that's just going to a tropical island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very Weekend at Bernie's.
Or
And we-
Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Let's get our shorts on and hang out.
We're going to the tropical island. It's weird that there's no one else on this tropical island, and all the people who work here seem to have mysteriously disappeared. But I love it.
97 had a 3, and 3 I feel like that's when you definitely know. Like
Yeah.
3s will just make $2 million in the box. Like we are
Yeah.
done with this. This was Free Willy 3.
Damn.
And we were all done.
Yeah.
The 4 of us weren't. We were there opening day. But
course.
most of America was.
I was dressed as Willie.
Is 2019 in need of a Free Willy? Or is it just Free Willy for us every day?
Kevin as a culture, haven't we done?
Yeah.
Haven't we lived the promise of freeing Willie?
I think Blackfish was
Yeah,
our Free
Black-
Willy.
Blackfish, we can't.
That was
Free Willy for Blackfish. It
Yeah.
was hard to watch.
That was our Free Willy. The only other thing that you would do is make it a Jaws movie.
I do have to say, Free Willy. They're like, hey, look at the fin on the back of the orca. See how it's all bendy like that? That doesn't happen in nature. It's probably because he's so depressed. after watching Free Willy, anytime you went to SeaWorld and you saw how bendy that fin was on the back, you were like, oh, that thing is fucking depressed as shit, dude. I feel awful.
97 saw a sequel that failed to, I think, a first one that failed. Did not do as well as they thought they would. This is a franchise that has been rebooted a couple years ago and was nominated for 0 Academy Awards. 97 had Turbo: The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Woo! Oh, yeah!
What are we to do? And I don't know a single person who has ever seen this movie before. Turbo: No. What are we to do today with this fucking franchise?
Wait, okay, so I'm going to look up what this movie was because this wasn't the Ivan Ooze movie, right?
It was not the Ivan Ooze?
Yeah.
I have a news for you, buddy. I don't think it was.
Because I don't remember what year that came out, but I remember that movie being
So they
big
didn't
deal.
start with the IP name. That's such a weird choice to me.
The first one was like 95, and it was just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think it was the TV actors.
yes, this
And maybe they shot like actual footage instead of using like footage from the 60s.
Man. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these. It has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
This Turbo one, do they all drive around in cars?
Turbo Fast?
There are Power Rangers cars on the cover of this movie. So
Yeah.
yes, I assume that it is the Fast and Furious of the Power Rangers.
So they're like, instead of those cool robotic tigers and like robotic mastodon, we're all going to be driving around in easy-to-buy cars.
I feel like this was the point where Power Rangers mania had fallen off, and people weren't.
But
as
they knew that
as
with the
jazzed.
first one.
I mean, yeah,
That first one made like probably a quarter of what they thought it was going to.
yeah.
They were too late, and then they just have to make a second one, and no one saw it.
No, I didn't know that it existed until you
Yeah.
just brought it up. But the 2016 version,
Did see that.
I thought it was. I thought it was.
Taylor,
a
we know your
perfectly-
thoughts. Cassie,
Cassie, talk about
a good
Power
movie?
Rangers.
I was still into it. Like it did what you expected.
Exactly.
suck.
Well, like sucked in that good way though.
Exactly.
That you, like, want the Power Rangers to be.
It's like, oh my God, are you Jason Scott, the most popular boy in town, but with a troubled past?
When I was a kid, there was a thing called Thundercats,
yeah, dude.
and we just let it die. No reboots, no movies. Can't we do
And-
that with this?
No, because
Because
now we got a gay Power Ranger.
That's why your generation gave up. We don't give up, okay? That's all.
Yeah.
I
My
can tell you.
generation does not give up on nostalgia, dude. I promise you that.
But yeah, I think if they made another like Power Rangers and bring back Elizabeth Banks, like it's a great movie.
Who is now rebooting Charlie's Angels?
Yes.
That's her next thing.
So listen, it made enough money overseas. Give us that new Power Rangers and bring the Green Ranger in. You teased him at the end of the first one.
Bring 'em in.
And you know what? Bring in those cars from Turbo: a Power
Yeah.
Rangers experience.
We've
And from
already got
Cars
the
3.
Zords.
This one, Home Alone 3 came out in this year, and Disney Plus has just announced that they're going to remake like 5 movies that do not, or maybe turn it into a TV show. Do we need a 2019 Home Alone?
Check it. Okay, I've been thinking about this a lot. And yes, we do. Okay, I'm going to just jump in. I'm fired with enthusiasm.
I love this.
Here's what the movie is.
Is this what I look like to you guys?
Macaulay Culkin and wife have kids of their own, right? And they're going to go on vacation.
So Brandon Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin purposely leaves his son at home
Oh my
on the
God.
vacation because for him now it's like a
It's a
rite of
test.
passion. Yeah. And he purposely pays people to go over and try to break into the house to give his son the same experience that he has that was so formative.
Can Daniel
This is a
Stern
nightmare.
play Daniel Stern? And he just needs money. But
Yeah.
He's like, dude, this is a bad
Yeah.
idea. You should not be doing this.
And then Macaulay Culkin's like, just this one last job.
One last
Just
one.
this
Bring
one
him in.
last job.
One last.
If he fails it, is he still his son, or does he disown his son in that moment?
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's all on the line. Yeah, like
Yeah.
because now we have to deal with the fact that there's no way to leave your kid at home because they could text you or whatever.
Right.
So the thing is, he contacts Macaulay Culkin, who, by the way, he's not Kevin anymore. It's just it's in the universe, but he's called Macaulay Culkin.
So this is a
Yeah.
BH 90210 sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. So his kid says like, "Dad, Macaulay Culkin, you left me at home," and he's just like, "I know, I did it on purpose."
Good luck.
Good luck,
Good
dude,
luck.
because it's all on the line here.
Keep your
If
head
you
on
are
the fucking
truly my
swivel.
son, you will overcome this challenge. If you do not overcome this challenge, you're not even my son.
Do we get a training montage of Macaulay's son watching Home Alone to learn how to handle
Yeah,
this
learning
shit?
all the tricks and stuff. You
This-
filthy animal.
This is almost like a reverse Taken.
Yeah.
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 I feel like it's an inverse Taken scenario.
Yeah. It's like ransom, but instead of giving back my son, it's here, take my son, if you can.
Please take my son.
Please take my son.
Oh no, I don't like this.
No, I'm greenlighting it. I love it.
Nice.
You know for a
Green
fact that
light!
everything Greg said is going to be better than the Disney Plus remake update.
Who knows what that shit's gonna be?
Guys, we have one more franchise to cover.
No, there's so many. Let's keep going.
In 97, I don't like your sarcasm. In 97, there was a comedy that came out that made $40 million, and then was such a big deal when it got to video, like at things like Blockbuster, that they made 2 massive sequels to it, like 20 times the amount that the first movie made. Austin Powers, could that movie be made now? Like, how terrible would that be to watch? Oh. And should should Mike Myers be involved, or should he keep his fucking dirty hands away from it?
No, you know what? Make a new one and put Mike Myers front and center.
But he's reprising the love guru.
Yes.
So he plays the love
married
guru.
an axe murderer.
And who married an axe murderer, and they have a big pet cat in a hat. And that's right, Mike Myers, and Shrek.
As Eddie Murphy.
You know, the problem with rebooting this right now is that one of the bigger, more interesting spy franchises right now is the Kingsman franchise, and it is
doing this already.
It's doing it. Yeah, it's both. It's this. You know, a lot of movies go for this, where it's like kind of a parody, kind of a satire, but then also doing the thing and doing it harder than anyone else has done it before. I don't feel like that leaves enough oxygen for then also an Austin Powers, and I think that there's still a bad taste in everybody's mouth from
people don't like this movie.
No, yeah.
Mike Myers was parodying a franchise, like a very niche franchise from like 30 years before that, like these, James Bond but a very specifically 60s James Bond. What if we were to reboot Austin Powers, but instead have it be like John McClane or Steve Rogers, or like update the thing that we're parodying, so it's like a more modern action hero? Could that work?
I
think
there? So.
So many things seem to at the same time be a parody, and like
Avengers already makes fun of itself.
Yeah, the Fast and Furious makes fun. It's so hard now. Like there's the irony is baked into all of these original productions, and the things that take themselves seriously, like the DC movies, end up being unintentionally the most ironic of all, because they take themselves so seriously that they become like clowns. So it feels like there's just less space there.
I don't want to hate on Mike Myers because like his comedy's very dated, and we don't do that shit anymore. But I do not believe that he can come back now and like
you
be
can't
in
really
the bubble.
Shed that persona and like rebuild.
I don't think that he has what it takes now.
Yeah, the only thing that he's done that's been successful recently are those Shrek movies, and if anything, that just pigeonholed him so hardcore.
Yeah.
And nobody could stand next to Kanye as he says George Bush hates black people better than Mike Myers. Like he killed that.
Yeah, that was a weak moment that he like mouthed subtle to the camera. It's like, whose side are you taking in this?
Yeah, that was. I feel like Mike Myers was more famous for that for like 6 months than he was any movie he had been in.
George W. Bush does not care about black people.
Like, I still think about his shock, like the look on his face of like trying to keep it together. He's like, oh no.
And he feels like he has to respond, because you really don't.
No.
Just stare straight ahead. You'll just like sink into the background.
He should have just like Jim from The Office did and looked right in the camera and like.
Or the Seinfeld's like.
Oh fuck! I know what I'm gonna do when I go home. I'm gonna edit that.
Just a little sound effect that you can play anytime.
I have often said that if I had one wish from a genie, my wish would be to
more wishes.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good wish.
That's a good one. But I would get a keychain that would always know exactly what sound effect I wanted it to play when I pressed it, so I could just press it. And it would play the exact sound effect I'm thinking of, and it would be perfect.
I like how you have this magic thing that can't exist, but there's still a button to it. Like you still have to press the button in order for.
Well,
magic to happen.
I don't want it to be.
You want to
too
initiate
easy.
it.
Yeah, I want to like have that satisfaction. I like a tactile click.
Guys, those are the franchises from '97. We did it.
Some of them made me sad.
Yeah. It was a weird year. I'm glad we picked 8 movies to talk about and not these anymore.
Yeah,
we're gonna be all done with this.
Yeah, I'm glad we made good choices.
When we come back.
No more show.
End of the show.